Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is episode 8 of the Rapscast podcast, episode 8 of what's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing that I can look back on. Kyle's over there to my right. He's in the booth. This is Jacob. It's a beautiful Monday night here in Montreal. It's above 0 degrees, which is a nice break from this horrible weather we've been having. Kyle, say hello to the people.
What's up, Jacobi? What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight, Jacobi?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing real good. The weather's nice. I'm not sick anymore. So many things to be happy about. I'm doing great.
It's a good night, and we're ready for a great show.
Yes, we are.
As we always are.
As we always are, but this one will be the best. I'm going to make that call right now in the intro. This is the best Rapscast episode we're going to have yet. So sit tight, fans. Here it comes. We're going to dive right in. It's time for Around the League. Kyle, what do we got first on Around the League?
So first we're talking about Russell Westbrook. The guy's impressing everybody. He's gotten 4 triple-doubles in his past 5 games now. 4 straight, actually. And he's looking like an MVP. I know we've talked about the difference between the MVP and the best player in the league or the world, but I swear to you, if his team wasn't 8th, it would be no questions asked.
You think he'd beat out James Harden,
Yes.
like no problem if his team was in, like, say 5th place, 4th place in the West?
Yeah, he's looking unbelievable. He's averaging, in his last 10 games, he's averaging 35 points, nearly 10 assists. He's doing everything for his team. And a lot of his critics are going to say that he's doing it in selfish ways, he's using the ball a lot. But you know what? Look around on his team. His other superstar is down for the count. He needs to hold on to the ball. You know, he already has a high usage rate. He needs to take some of Kevin Durant's shares. He's the best player on that team, and they know it. And he's doing amazing things in a limited amount of time.
I totally agree. I think he very much sets the tone for the OKC Thunder. He's such an aggressive, he goes out there to kill the other team. He's always got that mean look on his face. He's always, 100 miles an hour. He is playing great for them. Great defender. Love what he's doing. Even with the mask on now, he's got that. He broke his cheekbone or whatever, so he's wearing the whole mask. Very Rip Hamilton-esque.
He looks very much like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
He does.
Even more so with the mask.
Yeah, the mask accentuates his turtle attributes.
Yeah, with his headband and everything, it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I definitely think he's in the discussion for MVP, but like we discussed previously on a previous episode, being on an 8th place team doesn't do much to help your stock in that regard.
No.
Even with, Durant out and him carrying the whole load by himself, I still think tough to give it to a guy who's just struggling to even get into the playoffs,
I agree, but if they can pull themselves around to 6th seed, I think he's in the conversation. I think right now he's sort of in the conversation. He should be. He deserves it. But he becomes a serious name once, they secure the spot and they're not fighting for the spot in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They've earned it. I don't care if it's the 6th seed, the 5th seed, the 7th seed, as long as it's theirs. That's when we'll start seeing his name pop up seriously. And more than that, than MVP, I mean, let's just talk about point guards. I mean, we all know that most point guards in the league say he's the toughest matchup night to night.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that against the Raptors. He had a double-double, scored around 30 points, 17 assists.
He was unstoppable.
Unstoppable. It
yes.
was unbelievable.
I got to tell you, I feel horrible for whoever in the West takes OKC in the first round. Whoever it's going to be.
That is not a 7th seed. That is not a normal 7th seed.
Exactly. Especially with Durant healthy back then, that's going to be one heck of an opponent to take down in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I love the pickups they made, too. Enes Kanter, I think, is really going to put them over the top.
Yeah, and if they could keep him this offseason, he's going to be a great pickup. A lot of good players in that trade. I mean, DJ Augustine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really underrated.
Yeah, you're
really
right.
Underrated. He's an amazing player.
Yeah.
He's a starting quality point guard.
And a Raptor killer.
So hopefully they don't get far enough to see us.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get far enough to see them.
But they're not there to show up to the party. Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah. But he's unbelievable. He's looking like the best point guard in the league. I mean, we've talked about Steph Curry being the best point guard in this league, the best player in the league, and I think Russell Westbrook doesn't like it. Straight up.
Yeah, probably right.
He plays with some anger.
I love that. He's so competitive. With every single play, he just wants to kill it out there. It's awesome.
I love it.
Killer. And he reminds me of a young Kobe Bryant, actually.
Yeah, plays with so much heart, so much intensity.
Yeah, so let me ask you, man. Let's say a string of disasters takes place and OKC finishes 9th. They're out of the playoffs. If you're pulling the strings over there in Oklahoma, what do you do with your superstars? What are the moves to make? Does this team stay together, and how come?
Well, that's a big question. If they don't get the playoffs, you have to look at what the team has. And right now, they have two superstars, two people that any of the other 29 teams in the league would build their entire team around, and somehow they have both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, they play well together,
Mm-hmm.
and they like each other on the court, off the court. So if I'm Sam Presti, I keep them. I do whatever I can. I retool, do whatever I need to complement them. The biggest thing with OKC, the biggest hindrance, well, two things. One, KD is going to be a free agent the following season, and rumors are he has a bit of eyes for his hometown, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And two, both the players and everybody knows, it's not a secret, that OKC sees that luxury tax like there's no way they are crossing that line.
Okay, yeah.
So, as a player, you don't know if you want to play for a team that's, very scrupulous with their money. But if I'm Sam Presti, there's a lot of young talent on that team, right? And the good thing of young talent is it's cost controlled, but they have to go into win now mode. They might have to pay the luxury tax, but they might need to trade guys like Enes Kanter or Dion Waiters, guys that are younger and we know they have potential, for guys who are proven commodities right now,
Mm-hmm.
like Kevin Garnett, that type of thing. When you get cheap, great veterans, well, Kevin Garnett's not cheap, but you need the proven talent to win.
Mm-hmm.
And OKC's biggest problem right now is it's inexperience, and what always happens to them is they draft someone with high potential, the guy realizes his potential, and then they lose him because of money issues before they could actually ever realize what they've gotten out of that player.
Mm-hmm. Like a Reggie Jackson type.
Like a Reggie Jackson type, like a James Harden type.
Mm-hmm.
Twice now.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to figure out a way to move some of their younger players for more proven leaders, veteran leaders. That's what they need to do.
But we're in agreement that a healthy Westbrook and a healthy Durant with 82-game season under their belt are contenders year in, year out, almost irrelevant of the surrounding cast.
Irrelevant. I mean, they have a lot of great pieces. Anthony Morrow on that team, greatest pickup. Guy is a sharpshooter
Oh my God.
like none other.
Yeah.
I love the pieces on this team. A lot of it stays. I mean, Serge Ibaka, he should stay. Morrow should stay. They have young guys who could defend, like Oscar Robertson. He is great.
Isn't it? It's Oscar?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What an amazing name for an NBA player.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just got to get some quality talent, veteran leaders in that locker room. I mean, they have a few, but they got to get people who know how to win.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about our next thing.
All right. We'll move on. So around the league topic number 2, a streak coming to a close in the NBA. Tim Duncan, who had previously gone 1,311 games scoring a bucket, finally was held pointless. Or actually, he did hit some free throws, but he did not hit a field goal throughout that game, which makes an 18-year streak of games with a bucket. Pretty impressive. That's an all-time NBA record. What do you think of Tim Duncan finally having a streak snapped?
Well, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I mean, not even his rookie year.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right. Or even if he comes in and he's hurt and he just plays like a couple minutes, like he
Still gets a field goal.
always gets a field goal. Yeah.
That's consistency.
It's incredible.
Right
yeah.
there. That is consistency. Unbelievable. I can't believe that it's been nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
1,300 games.
But it's also crazy because I don't think either of us are surprised. Like it is Tim Duncan after all. Like of any player to have the record indicating consistency, it's Tim Duncan and somebody on the Spurs at least. But congrats to him. I mean, that's an incredible streak. I doubt it'll ever be broken.
I think years after Tim Duncan retires, we're only going to start realizing the things he's done in this league. I mean, we kind of just casually say that he's the best power forward of all time. Sometimes we say that about Dirk too. We say that about KG, but he's one of those players that comes in, does his thing very quietly, and years from now, we're only going to start realizing what he did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He has 5 championships. Nobody realizes that. That's the same amount Kobe has.
Yeah.
Right? More than KG has, more than Dirk has.
And he's never caused any problems in the history of his career.
And he just quietly
Controversy-free,
quietly gets around 20 points a night. Mr. Consistent. I love it. I can't believe I can't believe the record, and it just makes me think because he's so close to retirement. Imagine if he just went his whole career without without not scoring a field goal in a game.
Yeah,
that would have been the coolest thing I've ever heard.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so good on him.
But sadly, 18 years was the end of that streak.
Yeah, 18
Still
years.
Incredibly impressive.
Not long
Most
enough.
people don't even play 18 years. He's scored in 18 years of games, so
yeah,
very impressive.
So let's talk about our third thing in around the league.
Yes, very pertinent to our Canadian and Toronto audience here. Andrea Bargnani is lighting it up as a New York Knick. He's averaging 16.5 on 50% shooting. He's even grabbing 5.1 rebounds, which anybody who's familiar with Andrea Bargnani's
Doesn't
game,
do that often.
That's a very surprising stat.
Yes.
But the Knicks are thinking of re-signing Bargnani. They could go long-term on him. He's really become a weapon in their offense. What do you think about that? Are you going to be bitter about how Bargnani couldn't give us his best, or how do we feel about this?
I don't care if he lights up the league. Don't do it on the Raptors. Get the hell out. I'm sick of primo pasta. Toronto, Canada has had enough of you. I really don't care. The fact that we got a first-round pick for him, I don't care if he becomes the next Dirk Nowitzki. Not at all. Don't even care, because it won't happen. He sucks. I hate Bargnani.
Hey, man, 16.5 points on 50% shooting. You're a weapon in an NBA offense. You're doing good. You're filling it up,
But
man.
here's the thing, okay?
You're an above-average scorer in the
You're
NBA.
an above-average scorer in a very limited amount of games. He's only
True.
played about 12 or so games right now.
True.
And yes, he does fit in their system.
Mhm.
And I like what they're doing. If they re-sign him, I think he's a good fit in their system. He's not a smart player, which doesn't really fit in with what they're trying to do.
Or anybody, for that matter.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, give me the dumb guys.
No, but I mean, the triangle offense really relies on high basketball IQ. So, in that sense, he doesn't fit in, but in his skill set, he does, in the sense that he's a really high-low type player. He could hit the three, he could hit the shots from the high post, he could hit the shots from the low post. He's very versatile, and if he plays hard, then he could fit in the system. He's a great fit for the system. The big issues for me are, one, does he want to play hard? And two, his injury history.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We know he's not a healthy player. We know he's not generally a very motivated player. So, if the Knicks want to keep him, firstly, good. I don't want him back on the Raptors. But, yeah, he's a good fit for them. He's doing well in a limited amount of games. We'll see if scouting reports account for this, and they probably will soon enough.
Mm-hmm. You think teams will adapt, you mean?
Yeah, but, there are some things that if he keeps up, then they can adapt to. I mean, if he's rebounding 5 or so rebounds a game, that's a hustle thing. You can't game plan for rebounding, really.
Right, yeah.
I mean, boxing out, yes, but
You're supposed to do that every game anyway.
yeah, that's something that you could consistently do. Setting up your teammates, getting 2 assists a game, that's something you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Practicing your shooting, taking smart shots, which he's doing, that's something you can control. The only thing you can't control is how you get defended and making the shots. If he plays smartly, in the right system, which he is, good for him. I hope he stays in New York. I hope New York stays shitty.
Yeah, well, I agree with that much. But you ever think maybe he got to the NBA like kind of before his time, before the small ball, shooting center type of NBA that we've seen from a lot of teams now? I mean, when he played on the Raptors, they were a bit more trying to be a little more tough. His defense is kind of limited, but I definitely see him fitting in, if not on the Knicks, then somewhere. He can be a very useful player. The stretch center is a very important asset on a lot of teams today.
I think now, I think that's a great point. In today's NBA, his skill set is more valuable than it once was.
Yes. Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't entirely uncommon. I mean, we traditionally associate European bigs as shooters,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, Pero Antic, Dirk Nowitzki, and was he the first? No, Dirk Nowitzki was one of the first bigs who lit up the league, hit those threes, those mid-range, hit everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think if he was to go to free agency, which he is, his skill set is more valuable now than it used to be, especially with the cap going up.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see how much the Knicks are going to pay for him, because if they're going to pay him another $10 million contract a year, which they won't, I'll laugh my ass off. That will be the most fitting thing ever. James Dolan doing another dumb move.
I think only Toronto really knows how awful Bargnani can be.
Yep. And James Dolan, he knows how awful he could be. Although he is seeing some good Bargnani.
He's proven himself, for sure.
He's eating the primo.
Getting the good primo and pasta and sauce.
So want to jump right into quick predicts?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's go right in there.
So this is the schedule. We'll just talk schedule, then we'll do predictions.
Cool.
First we're going against Miami, then Portland, then we're going to Indiana. That game's a back-to-back, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then Minnesota.
Right. At home. We have Minnesota at home.
Yeah. So, let's talk predictions. You want to go first?
Yeah. Well, should I run through them all?
Yeah.
Okay. I think they should get the win against Miami. They don't have Chris Bosh, which means they should be, with the exception of Hassan Whiteside, who's been a crazy revelation for them, they should be able to have their way inside. I think a JV can really have a big game against Miami. They take the win in Miami. Portland, boy, I have such a hard time betting against Portland, but they just came off of a 5-game winning streak, and Aaron Aflalo's fit in really nicely with that team. That's one of the deepest teams in the NBA, a scary, scary opponent. I don't think we get the win at home against Portland. Then we're off to Indiana, who's had a crazy resurgence of late, but I still just don't think that on paper they can match up with what the Raptors bring. I still think that the Raptors are going to get back to... I don't think what we're seeing right now is indicative of how good the Raptors really are as a team. I think they're more like what we've seen earlier in the season. Indiana shouldn't be too tough of a matchup for the Raptors. And finally, a team that I've started watching a lot now. I think they're finding their groove, even though they're not putting that many wins together. They're at least getting something good to go. They're having Rubio back there has been great for Minnesota, but the Raptors should have their way with Minnesota. So I'm seeing 3-1 in these 4 games with the one loss coming against Portland. Kyle, what do you think?
That's pretty optimistic. You know what? I was really optimistic last week,
and I was pessimistic. I believe.
Yeah, and it bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pissed off this week, and it's going to reflect in my predictions.
Okay.
So Miami, straight up, I think we're going to lose. They've won 6 of their last 10 games. We know Chris Bosh is out, but they have Goran Dragic. He's a great player. And more importantly, we're playing Miami at home, and traditionally, Toronto Raptors have a lot of difficulty beating Miami at home.
Really?
Yeah, we have not beaten them in a really long time at home.
At the ACC, yeah.
Yeah. No, in Miami.
Oh, I thought that game was in Toronto.
Oh, it is in Toronto.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, you know what? I'm still.
But we're still losing.
We're still losing.
Okay.
We are still playing shitty basketball right now. I won't count Miami out. They're a well-coached team, a good team. No way. Portland. No fucking way.
No fucking way on Portland.
I don't even really want to talk about it.
We're just going to get thrashed.
Yeah. Wes Matthews is out, but I mean, they already killed us once, and more than that, they killed us and then sent us into our first losing streak.
Yeah.
So they're just going to murder us right now.
They're a tough team.
They're a tough team.
The West is just too good.
Yeah, they have. Not only are they as good as they are, they lost Wes Matthews, but then they picked up my other boy. I couldn't even believe they picked up Aaron Aflalo.
He's been so sick for them. He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a great player. I wish he was a Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, I think we're going to lose again. I'm being terrible.
You don't think the Raptors can beat the Pacers, man?
No, the Pacers, I thought so at the beginning of the year, but they are playing amazing. They are on a 5-game winning streak. They are healthy right now, except for Paul George, and they're hot as fuck. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. They're playing some great basketball built on defense, and that's something you could keep. I'm going to say the Raptors drop it.
Okay.
Minnesota, this is where we'll get our win.
Okay.
We're going 1 for 4. We're going 1 out of the 4 games.
Okay.
We'll beat Minnesota. They're young. You know, Andrew Wiggins will come home. He'll choke. He'll be nervous. They've got a few Canadian players. They're all going to choke being home at the ACC. We're going to boo them out of the place. They're done.
I think we'll probably give a warm response to Wiggins.
We will, but, I mean, this is a basketball game, and we want the Raptors to win, so I'm going to expect some boos.
I don't know. I don't want to booze.
I want to boo him.
Do I expect them? Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't think that's a
I want to
classic.
boo him and KG.
It's not gonna have any effect on how he does, but whatever.
Usually booing makes them play better. That's the funniest part.
Well, unless you're like Kobe.
Yeah. But I'm going to say we beat them. They're young. They're inexperienced. They don't know how to win yet. 14 wins for the season as of currently.
Mm-hmm.
We're going 1 for 4 this week.
Yeah, Kyle says 1-3, and I say 3-1.
Yeah.
So role reversal a little bit.
Yeah, so be prepared for a long Raptors week.
Yes, and with that, be prepared for a break as well, because we're going to one right now. Rapscast followers, we'll see you on the other side. Stay put.
Lean forward slightly. Look straight at the speaker. And listen with a sparkle in your eye, as though you might be thinking, gee, this is the most wonderful thing I ever heard in all my life.
Welcome back from the break. This is Kyle, and we are Rapscast. We're about to jump into the starting 5, Jacobi.
Here we go.
So, our first thing, we're talking about Kyle Lowry, the leader of the Raptors.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it right now.
No, it doesn't at all.
No, he is playing some terrible basketball, turning it over. More importantly, you know what? His best asset early on in the season, well, 1 was being a leader, but 2, really playing to what the game was giving him and, taking smart shots, making those clutch shots. And just now, those shots aren't going in.
Yeah.
It looks like he's off a step. He looks slow a step, and it's just he's always like a second late. He takes that pull-up jumper that he normally does, and it's just something a little bit doesn't work out. It doesn't go in. The clutch shot. I mean, he's taking bad shots. They're not going in, and I'm really disappointed. I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
He's my favorite player in the league.
That
so
I do.
It's terrible watching him. I mean, he had a couple of good games. He got 25 points and like 5 rebounds.
But it's just not the same, is
but
it?
they didn't even get a win.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's not the same. It's not the same when we see Kyle Lowry get amazing stats, pull out the win for the team, and everybody's happy. I mean, this is really disappointing.
Yeah, something, I don't think being an all-star did him any favors. I think he's kind of it's in his head now that the numbers have to be there for him, or he's being like a bust. You know what I mean? So I think he's become a little more selfish by being an all-star. It pains me to say it, but I really think it's true. I think he feels the pressure to have the field goal percentage where it needs to be and have the point totals where it needs to be, and he's not thinking as much team first as he was before. He seems just less competitive. And I'm with you. It's heartbreaking because in order for the Raptors to do make any noise in the playoffs, we need Kyle Lowry to be, back to his all-star, maybe even, MVP caliber form.
More than we need him to play well. We need him to play well and to make the rest of the team play well,
yes.
and make the rest of the team play better than they would without him.
Yeah, he has to be the best team player on the Raptors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We expect so much from him.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he's just falling so short of our expectations that he's built up, and yeah, as you mentioned, his all-star, who knows, might have bit him in the ass.
Yeah.
He looks a bit tired.
Yeah,
that's
he
the
does.
truth. I mean,
but he was rested. So.
He was rested a few games. It hasn't really helped.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten back. He's played decently, but really, he's just missing the shots.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing for himself, as you said, and it really bugs me. He's not playing for the team. To an extent, he is.
Like, the cohesiveness isn't there that we saw earlier in this season, which is weird because we didn't change anything.
It just looks like he wants the team. Normally, he wants the team to win so badly, and he really wills the team to win. He takes it upon himself, and he makes these hero plays, but it's just he's making the hero plays, and they're not working out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe part of that is game planning. But something needs to adjust. He needs to adjust, or Coach Casey needs to adjust something, because it's not working out right now.
Yeah.
And they have to figure it out. A lot's going on.
I mean, it's so hard for, on the outside looking in to tell what's really wrong with him. I don't speak to him on a daily basis, but if I were to make a bet, I'd say that being an all-star has made him think a little more, I gotta get my career right. I'm an all-star now. I gotta act like one. I gotta score like one. I have to, have the numbers that indicate that. And I just don't think that that's how he thought earlier in the season. I think being an all-star has really made him go a little, get him a bit more selfish, which is sucky to even hear come out of my own mouth, but I think it's really what's going on.
I sort of agree, but I think for the most part I disagree with that. Because most players will play selfishly in hero ball for one of two reasons. One, they genuinely believe that's the best way to get the team to win,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think that's that. Maybe that's that. Or two, which is what most players would do, is for money. And he just came off his contract year.
Mm-hmm.
So he really has no reason to start playing hero ball unless actually unless he thinks that's the way
That's how they're going to win a game,
right?
Or it could just be like an ego thing. I don't think it is with him.
He's an ego guy, but
yeah.
I don't think it's now that I'm an all-star I need to get superficial stats, because he's not Mr. Superficial Stats. He's Mr. Advanced Stats. He gets
Mr. Analytics.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the leaders in win shares last year. That's his thing. That's his calling card. He's a leader. So the stuff that doesn't show up on the box score, that's where we love him. That's where his bread and butter is. So I think he just genuinely thinks that that's how they're going to win a game, and that's a shame, because basketball, as we've seen in the past few years, is a team sport.
It's getting away from that, actually.
Well, I would say it's going back to that.
I'd say it's getting away from hero ball.
Yeah, it's getting away from hero ball. I mean, teams like the Spurs and the Hawks and even the Warriors are making team basketball look cool.
Yeah.
And teams are winning with using less energy on each person. It's going away from the trend.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope we get back to
The Raptors got to follow it, yeah.
So let's talk more about how the Raptors are shit.
Yeah, okay.
Straight up,
Even though that sucks to do, but okay.
Yeah. So we look tired. We didn't mention that they've lost 8 in their last 9 games.
Mm-hmm. This is a team that was second place for the majority of the season.
Now we're 4th.
Yeah.
that's looking pretty shitty.
Yeah, it is looking very shitty. I think that the other teams can smell the playoffs around the corner, and they successfully kicked it into high gear knowing that. I mean, this is crunch time in the NBA regular season, and I just think the Raptors are lagging behind. It starts with Kyle Lowry and his lack of energy and bulldogness and, the intelligence it takes to help your team. It's trickling down, and I don't like what I'm seeing from the Raptors at all.
Me neither. And so this brings into another question. In our entirety of Rapscast, we've kind of been preaching James Johnson needs to be a starter. James Johnson, he's got to be a starter. He's unbelievable, and he is.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. He often looks like the best starter in our lineup. However, what would you say if I told you that I think we should put him back on the bench?
Well, tell me why.
Ever since we put him on the starting lineup, now the defense has gone up, but if you notice, DeMar and Kyle, they've been playing shitty.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right, offensively. And the truth is, the problem is the spacing. I mean, James, he is playing unbelievably as a starter, but if we put him back on to the bench, we can get a guy like Terrence Ross, who's playing well, inconsistent but well, back onto the starting lineup.
And he'll stand in the corner.
Stand in the corner, hit his threes, and more importantly, just get Kyle and DeMar better looks, right? Right now, we know when James Johnson is standing at the 3,
no one guards him.
No one guards him unless he's at the corner, and the spacing is off. So we need to get back to the offense running through 3 people, DeMar, Kyle, and JV. The spacing has to get right. And then we have JJ, let him come off the bench as a 6th man. 6th man, he switches with Ross pretty early, comes in, does his stuff against weaker players. And then we get to really see what he's able to do, because he'll just shine. We both know he's a starting caliber player.
Absolutely.
In fact, he often looks like an upper tier starting caliber player. So if he could go onto the bench as a 6th man, school the youngins, sounds good.
I think what you're saying, I think having T. Ross on the starting lineup has a lot of merit, because when he stands in the corner, you can't sag off of him, because if he catches it, all it takes is 1 second for him to release it, and it's like a super high percentage shot for him. So having a guy forced to stay out of the paint and in the corner, especially at the small forward position when it's usually one of the bigger guys, that can help your team out a lot, because now DeMar and Kyle can drive to the basket, and there's one less guy in there to block shots. So having Terrence Ross out there does help the spacing a lot, which could be an answer to one of the many problems we're seeing from the Raptors. Yeah.
So I guess what we're kind of saying is that Dwayne Casey knows best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dwayne Casey was really reluctant to put JJ into the starting lineup. Everybody was calling for it, reluctant. He did it now. Terrence Ross is playing terribly, and I don't think he made a poor decision. I mean, James Johnson has played awesome, and their defense has gone up quite a bit too with him on the lineup. But
I think he's the best defender on the Raptors.
Yeah, me too. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that us two and Raptors fans' general consensus, I guess we were wrong.
Yeah.
JJ on the bench, that was the move.
Yeah, well, it depends who's in your starting lineup, but I think
right now, I just mean for the Raptors.
Yeah.
Based on, how our offense runs, it might be best if we go back to that. Maybe we should try it for the next few games, get Ross back into his groove, because that might have to be what the playoffs look like.
Right, yeah.
James Johnson might have to be that X factor off the bench.
Yeah, guarding. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Absolutely.
So we're putzes.
Yeah.
Straight up. Dwayne Casey.
There's a reason why we're not NBA coaches, Kyle.
Dwayne Casey, you're the man.
Yep.
You know what's best. I'll let you do. I don't even want to tell you to do anything, because you know better than me now, okay? Do what you do. I love you. Let's go to thing 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, right now we have 38 wins.
Mm-hmm.
19 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get to 50? I thought we were going to get to 50 at the beginning of the season. It's looking less and less like it.
Look, if the Raptors can really understand what point of the season it is right now and know that every win is so crucial, I mean, the playoffs are around the corner, man. They're coming up. You got to start gearing up for the playoffs and getting into playoff mode and, warming yourself up for what those games are going to be like. If the Raptors can do that, if their collective state of mind can find that gear, I think they'll easily get to 50 wins. They have to go 12-7 to get there. And the Raptors of old, before the losing streaks came around, that seemed like a easily attainable number. We know the capability is there, and I still have confidence in our squad. I think they will get to 50 wins. I even think they might finish in 2nd or 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. What do you think?
I don't know if we're gonna get to 50. I thought at the beginning of the year we're gonna get to 50. I really thought it, and I thought before the All-Star break, I really thought we were gonna get to 50. But we have lost, as I said, 8 in our last 9. We're not playing good basketball, and that's not something that just gets fixed overnight. Nothing's Nothing's just gonna magically pop up. Oh, all of a sudden I'm done with this shit.
Well, it got ruined overnight.
But it's easier to break something than it is to repair it.
True.
So I don't think it's a problem that's just gonna magically fix overnight. And I don't know if we're gonna get there. And you know what? We won 48 last year. There's a realistic chance that we might get like 47. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible.
I'll be very disappointed.
I'll be very disappointed if we go 47.
Because how many wins did we have last year? We had
48.
48. So
yeah, that's
pretty shitty.
But it's a possibility. Do I think we're gonna get 50? That's the question.
You're not sure.
I don't think so anymore. I think we're gonna get 48 wins, same as last year, and it's gonna be incredibly ironic, but that's how it'll be. And then everybody's gonna call for big changes in the off season. Us too, we will. But that's how it's gonna be. It's a shame. It's a straight up shame. The Raptors are really just
They've
making
dropped
us
the ball.
depressed.
They
Yeah,
really dropped 3/4 into the season when it started to become most important. They really dropped the ball.
Yeah, and it's really depressing as a fan. I mean, I'm looking at you. We're both pretty bummed out. So, more about the Raptors winning. We're talking about projecting wins. Let's talk about, it's coming playoff time. So, right now, we're in the 4th seed. We're a game behind Chicago. Atlanta's number 1. Cleveland's number 2. Where do you think we're going to end up? I mean, we know the rules of the NBA is that if you're a division champion, which we will be, no doubt about it, you have to be a top 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So we're guaranteed
Top
spot,
4.
Yeah, a top 4 seed. We will have home court advantage in the first playoff series.
Yeah.
So, given that in mind, where do you think we end up?
I think we're going to end up in 3rd place. I think they're going to pass the Chicago Bulls. I think Atlanta's going to keep killing it like they've been doing. They're still going to keep. They're not going to drop off. And Cleveland, as I predicted earlier in our podcast season, they were going to get to their groove on. It was inevitable, I found. And they're there. So those teams, I think, are unpassable in the East. I think they're just going to continue to win. They have players who are going to, they're only going to get better as the playoffs near, and they're mentally they get on that page. I think we can pass Chicago, and in fact, I hope we do, because man, just a 3rd seed is that much nicer to look at than a 4 seed. A top 3 is, you're meddling.
I agree. You know what? Before the podcast started, I thought I'm pissed off. I think we're going to end in 4th, but I really think we're going to end up in 3rd seed. At the beginning
we're down 1 game, man.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I thought we were going to end in 3rd seed again, although I thought it was going to be Cleveland, then Chicago, then us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're only a game behind Chicago. I really think we could get to that 3rd seed, especially now that D Rose is out for quite a bit. I mean, we know he'll be back for playoff-ish time.
But he's not going to put them over the edge. He's not going to be the difference.
But he's going to be the difference between us getting the 3rd seed and not doing it.
Okay.
So with him out, I mean, that's a lot to adjust. I mean, we know Pau Gasol is really like their primary option right now. D Rose, he was the bread and butter. I mean, he was the
go-to.
Not the go-to. He was like the cherry on top. They added luxury. I mean, they have Butler, they have Pau Gasol.
That's the threats right there.
Bulls.
Yeah.
But now that Rose is out and he is a big part of their team, I could see them falling to 4th. I mean, obviously they have passed us. They're playing well, but I could see if the Raptors pick it up, and they won't pick it up tomorrow, as I mentioned, we could beat them. We're only a game behind. There's about 20 games left.
So then you don't think they're going to hit 50 either, then that means? Chicago.
No, I don't.
It sucks being a Chicago Bulls fan these days, man.
They're still a good team.
Yeah, but they're not going to do anything. But whatever. That's for another podcast.
It's for someone else to talk about.
All right, so we know where we think we're going to finish. We're going to talk about a potential playoff matchup that if the playoffs started right now, we'd be playing against the Washington Wizards, the 4th and 5th seed. What do you think about the Wizards as a potential playoff matchup for the Raptors? Is that a good one, a bad one? What do we have to hope for? What would be the X factor there? Break that one down for me.
If you asked me before the season started, I would have told you that the 3 teams that scared me most for the Raptors to match up in the first round would be Cleveland, Chicago, and Washington. And Washington specifically, it's because the Raptors and Washington, on paper, their skill and in reality, their skill level is so similar. It's honestly, it's just such a tie.
They're similar teams.
They're just similar talent level on paper. They both want the same things. They're both in the same point of the organization. They have the same goals. And they both have great personnel. So I'm worried about Washington. I mean, they have Paul Pierce. And as we know, Paul Pierce was the guy who sealed the deal last year, blocking Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
You know, you can't buy leadership and veteran presence like that. I mean, he's going to pay for himself come playoff time.
He is a year older now, you got to remember.
A year older, a year wiser, and he knows
a year
Mr.
slower,
Lowry.
Kyle. A year slower, a year fatter.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And they've gotten Bradley Beal back. He's had a hard season this year, injury plagued, not playing very consistently, but they have a great team on paper. They have two great forwards in Nene and Martin Gortat.
That's the scariest part of their team.
Yeah. And as we know, last year, both those players, they came at you like a double-headed dragon. They really played well together. Do I think we could win? I think we could win. We're deeper than them.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
We're much deeper than them. We have a better bench. And you know what? We have just such a versatile guy in James Johnson that any of their players that are getting hot in that night, we could throw JJ on them and at least slow them down a bit. The only person I'll save that exception for is maybe John Wall, but even John Wall, JJ could keep up with and slow down a little bit. But they are a tough team, and I will guarantee you this. John Wall versus Kyle Lowry, John Wall will smoke Kyle.
Yes,
He's
he
a
will.
fast point guard. He is bigger. He will smoke Kyle Lowry very, very much. I am not looking forward to that. But I think we could win. We're a versatile team, so are they, but we are deeper, straight up.
Yeah, we are deeper. I see them having a lot of problems with a guy named DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs. Like, who are they going to throw on him? Like, Bradley Beal? I don't see Bradley Beal having much of an effect on DeRozan. He'll get to the line easy on Beal. He'll beat him, like, to the basket every time.
It's true, and Pierce is too slow.
Their wings are old and are not going to guard a guy like DeMar DeRozan very well.
It's true. That's a very good point. We also smoked them our first time against them.
Yeah.
We could beat them. I hope we beat them.
It all depends on how JV and Amir hold the fort inside.
Yeah, I agree. And if not, James Johnson, because James Johnson could be thrown on Nene. That would be a
Or if
great
Pierce
matchup.
randomly has a really hot game, you could just end it like this with James Johnson. So
James Johnson.
that was for the people at home who couldn't hear that because I can't snap.
That was
it's a
crappy
snap, okay?
It was a terrible snap.
It's
You want a real one?
Well, yeah, there you go.
That was a good snap.
That's how we can end Pierce's good day.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna win.
Yeah, me too. I think Washington is not a team I'm afraid of. The two teams I'm afraid of are Chicago and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and anybody else. I think the Raptors can at least make it an interesting series against. But Chicago's tough, and the Cleveland Cavaliers I think are actually the toughest.
So give me a prediction: win in how many games?
Against Washington?
Yep.
6 games.
Win in 7 games. That's my prediction. Let's jump to a break.
All right, break time it is. People, stay put.
Lean forward slightly. Look straight at the speaker. And listen with a sparkle in your eye, as though you might be thinking, gee, this is the most wonderful thing I ever heard in all my life.
Welcome back from the break, Rapscast listeners. Jacob and Kyle are back, and it's time for everybody's favorite. Actually, it's like probably the second favorite topic here on Rapscast. It's time to be a GM, specifically Masai Ujiri. And the topic for discussion today is, Kyle, take it away.
We're talking about JaVale McGee. He got traded at the deadline to the 76ers. Now he just got waived. After saying, I won't be bought out, he really said, no way. He had the 76ers eat his entire salary to be bought out. Now he's going to try to go to a playoff team, find a team that he can stick on for the rest of the year, and rumor is he wants a player option for next year. So there is some interest by the Raptors. What do you think about that?
I'm so torn.
Let me just preface this one thing. Right now we have 15 men on the roster. That would mean we'd have to waive someone. That someone would be
Greg
Cleveland
Steamsma,
Steamer himself. Yes.
There is no doubt in my mind that from a basketball perspective, he will bring more to the Raptors than what Greg Steamsma is currently bringing, which is basically nothing.
Yeah.
So that much, I do see him, like I do see the upside in bringing him to the Raptors. Here's what I don't like. JaVale McGee still has so much growing up to do. He still is just not a professional adult, and he just acts like an idiot all the time, and I don't think that with Dwayne Casey and the type of team that we have right now, that the stability is there to encourage him to be a pro. Like, let's say he was signing with the Spurs or the Golden State Warriors or with LeBron James, he wouldn't want to let those guys down. But I think in Toronto, it's just room for him to act up and to be, an idiot. And we already have Lou Williams, so our idiot quota is pretty high. I don't think JaVale McGee would really fit, just not even basketball-wise. I just don't think the Raptors have the stability and the coaching and the ego management to keep McGee under wraps and make him not a burden on at least the mental aspect of what the Raptors have going right now.
That's a lot of things to address. Firstly, you just said Lou Williams is an idiot.
Yes.
I'm gonna disagree with that one. That's for another time. I don't think he's an idiot. He is a professional scorer.
True, but his personality is just so...
I love him.
I'm kind of like that too, I guess, so what am I showing so much hate for? But he's just such a little rascal.
Love him. But this is a topic for another time.
Yes.
So JaVale McGee, here's the thing. We have 15 guys. If we waive the steamer himself and sign JaVale, even at a minimum contract, we're going to be getting awfully close, maybe just passing the luxury cap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much, do we want McGee? I mean, if it was a straight-up drop sign, we're not over the cap, I would say in a heartbeat, not a question. He's a talent upgrade. He fills a spot we need. I mean, we need a backup for Jonas. When he goes to the bench, we need a guy who's going to defend the paint and block, and he is a great shot blocker.
Mm-hmm.
So from a talent standpoint, not a doubt. If he wanted that player option for next year, assuming it's a very small player option, like 2 to 3 million next year,
mm-hmm.
I'd be happy to do it. The issue is crossing the luxury line. Is he a player that we are willing to go into the luxury tax for? And, paying an extra $1 million in luxury tax, not a big deal, especially if we want to be contenders. The question is, 1, does he make us a contender?
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it's not the luxury tax, as I said. It's, do we want to go into the luxury tax room because there is a repeater tax? So do we want to break that barrier for him, really start doing that for him? And for that, I'd say no. He's a good player. He fills a need, but it's short term, and I don't think he's going to be the one that brings us from a team that's either going to leave the first or second round or the third round of the playoffs to a team that gets to for sure conference finals or for sure playoff finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say no. He fills a need, and I just want to say I'd really love to see him on the Raptors. Like, I wouldn't be mad if he was signed. Okay?
He's kind of a joke. Yeah,
That's why.
Okay.
That's why. I'd love to see some Raptors shacking the fools. But really, I mean, a lot of fans just negatively, blindly believe that that's all he is a shacking the fool guy. I mean, he is. He's, the running MVP of that segment. But
he's an idiot. He's so stupid.
Well, that's just bullshit. He has a low basketball IQ, but I mean, that's because they're expecting a lot of him. If
mm-hmm.
you throw him into a team like the Raptors, which have a strong locker room, we know how to keep players in their line, especially Dwayne Casey. If you asked what's one of his best strengths, keeping players in line. If you threw him into the Raptors locker room, Dwayne Casey said, here's your role. You are going to play 10, 15-ish minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to defend the paint. You're going to get rebounds. You're going to get blocks.
You're going to catch and finish on offense.
And you're going to catch and finish as a pick-and-roll guy. That's it. Nothing else. He could be a good fit for the Raptors, and I'd be happy to have him as a Raptor.
I'm very torn.
I would be happy if they did the whole switch thing. Just from a fan standpoint, he's a fun player to have on the team.
He would raise the profile of the Raptors.
Yeah, he would raise the profile. I'd be happy to have him even if he had that player option for next year, but I don't think we're going to do it, and I don't lament that we're not going to do it. And, I don't think he's worth going into the luxury tax territory for it. But, I wouldn't be mad if it happened.
I wouldn't be mad, but I'd be concerned.
I'd be excited.
I can remember him hitting a shot, and his celebration is he's licking his fingers and dipping Molly and trying to he's doing drugs. That. There's kids watching in the stands, and he's doing a drug celebration for hitting a shot. You know what I mean?
Love it. No, his whole thing, his whole inside joke is jug life.
Jug life?
Jug life. He carries around big jugs of water. It's jug life.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's not really cool. It's not really cool.
At least he has a thing going on. Whatever.
It's also called shacking a fool.
True.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to. I guess we kind of summed it up. Yeah. Happy to have him. Happy to not have him.
Exactly.
Straight up. Let's jump into our favorite segment. The King of the
The
North!
King of the North! No, 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 North!
The King of the North!
Who's our King of the North, Jacobi?
Our King of the North this week is...
Bruno!
Bruno!
Bruno.
Why? How come? He hasn't even played a game. Why is...
Hasn't even played a game. We've been absolutely garbage. So we were kind of just searching, searching for anyone that we could give this prestigious award to.
Right.
And we came to Bruno because, he was on the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. He was so damn good. He was called up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we put him in a suit against OKC.
And he watched that game.
He watched that
Boy,
game
did he watch it good.
for free. He had great seats, and he looked good doing it. He had a nice suit on.
Congratulations to Bruno getting called up and having a good tailor.
Yeah, that's it. He was great. Everything I could have asked for in that game and more.
King of the
Stuck his ass
North,
on the
Bruno.
seat, celebrated, clapped. I'm happy for you, brother.
Yeah, well done.
So let's just, I guess, wrap up the show.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been a good one.
Yeah. Same old, same old. Follow us on,
We're on Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube. You name it, we're there.
most importantly, rapscast.com.
Rapscast.com. That's our Tumblr. We love it. Follow us. Give us some comments, feedback, anything you want us to talk about on the next episode. Hit us up. We'll talk about it.
And shout out to Query Quest.
Again.
Yeah, just because we love you, man.
All right.
Some anonymous guy.
Let's end
This is the end. See you next week, guys.